Hello and welcome back to another episode of Gregtech Community Edition Modern. Last time, what did we do last time? Oh, we made subsystems. That's right. Pretty interesting thing. And I did make a second color over here, which I'm thinking of trying to do a auto crafting to fill containers, which we'll work on that another time, as I do want to get like every dye available. So I found out what my problem was with this. It is a good thing that we can use the quartz fiber to separate the sections, as the issue is that it will connect with ME-Fluix cables will connect with any color. And so because of that, you have a problem where it tries to connect. So the way that you separate that out into a subsystem is just using the glass fiber cable to power it. Because that doesn't connect the channels, basically. Even though channels aren't an issue on this, I do want to try the subsystem stuff so I know it for the future. Now, I have two things planned for this episode. The very first one, pretty much already set up. I've been grabbing some air. We're going to go ahead and freeze that, pump it straight into a distillation tower, and distill out all of our outputs. So to get this started, I do simply have two things I've got to do. And I do already have both of the, what's it called? Do I have import buses? I should have import. I do not. Good to know, good to know. We're going to have to get some import buses made up really quick. Import. Let's get 5 of those started. But we'll get 5 outputs. I have set up stuff on the other side to be able to store it all once it gets back into the system, so we just have to wire it up to our regular ME system to be able to send the stuff back. However, we do still have to send over gasoline. We're going to go ahead and do that really quick and line it all up. I think I will set up something to have gasoline pumped through as well at some point. But with both of those additions, we should see the vacuum freezer get started. We'll make 4 buckets of air into 4 buckets of liquid air. And then I believe it's 50 buckets to do 1 recipe for the distillation tower. Now, because this is kind of going to replace my nitrogen mixture stuff, we do want it to be automatically like self-maintained. So I did put some of the auto maintenance hatches on this. I think our buses might be pretty close. They are not for some reason. Let's go dump these into where they're supposed to go, and then we'll find out why. So without those, I can't really do much, because I actually need the other thing done. I think we're waiting on how much more of the dust needs to be made, because I think we're waiting on... Oh no, we're waiting on steel. So it's going to take a second with that. And we're good there, because I just been crafting up a bunch of extra stainless steel at the moment. But that means we can just wire the wires over while we're waiting for the input bus. Or input, yeah. Input buses. Let us bring that cable over as well. Go ahead and pipe that all the way up to the top. And we might see our first batch come out of here any second now. Yeah, so it takes 100 seconds to do it with the HV. I don't mind that, considering it does a lot of each of the different gases. The one that we're going to be needing is the carbon dioxide. I have set up both carbon dioxide and argon gas to automatically have a storage on the other side where all of my other gas storage is in the main overworld. So that is set up over there. And you will see that it ends up immediately filling up and having nowhere to go. Therefore, it ends up halting until we get our import buses on. We should be able to just attach each one. And then I should have some acceleration cards specifically for this one, which we'll put 2 in there. And then I think we could put... So that one's done. We'll put 1 in there because the rest of those will dismantle out pretty quickly. It's these 2 that we need to get out of the way so that they can run another cycle. And so now if we go back to the overworld, we can double check that that went into the storage bins it's supposed to. And it has. So we've got argon and we've got ourselves some carbon dioxide. So those were the 2 main things I needed over here. Now they are hooked up to storage buses, so not only can they retrieve, but they can also send it out, which is the other part that we're going to need. What I wanted to check on, so we can use this to make carbon monoxide. I wanted to take a look at recipes, so we'll need it for that thing. Acetic acid. We already are producing that, so I don't think I need that, or methanol, or acetic acid, or methane. So it looks like the only purpose for carbon monoxide is to make this butyral dehyde. I'm done trying to say that. That's messing with my brain. You put too much stuff in there. So we do need to export it into another system. So the first part that we're going to need is we need to make carbon monoxide. So right across the way, we're going to go ahead and put ourselves our very first machine on this end. And we'll put ourselves the combustion engine with a basic reactor. Now, I do need to pipe over some items to this basic reactor. So let's come down over here. And we will say we need carbon dioxide and carbon. Those are the only 2 things that are going to be going in here, because that is how we make our carbon monoxide. We get carbon dioxide and carbon into there. So carbon monoxide 1 and 2. And we can just drop those in 1 and 2, and that will have both of those go in there. We just need it to be powered on up. And there we go. So that will automatically fill. We want it to round robin the thing just so that we can actually have it fill in both of what it needs. And then we just need the energy. So we got to pipe over some gasoline like before. And I think, where did it go? I just totally lost it. Right there. So we will pump it in right in here. And I think we'll just go ahead, just to save ourselves a little bit. We're going to break out some blocks, and that's where we're going to feed it through. Is we're gonna go I just don't like to do the whole bouncing it up and down so much, so I think we'll go down and around, but we will have to pipe more through later, so this is why I want to do it this way for now. And right there. And hook it on up. Okay, and that will allow me to drag the power over this way. And then, just so I can bring over my cables here, I'm going to go ahead and pop this brick open and bring it up top. Actually, I don't need to do that. I got the cables back. I'll do that here. I'd rather keep it here. So, the next part that we need, once we've got the carbon monoxide being made, we're going to have it output on this end. The carbon monoxide was needed to make ourselves the butyral thing that I'm not going to say because I can't pronounce it. I have to look it up later. But we need to make this. So now that comes into putting out another one of these multi-lock chemical reactors. So we just gotta go ahead and piece it all together. We want that to pipe straight in over here. So this will be one of our input buses, or input hatches, I should say. So we got input hatch, and input hatch. And so this is going to pipe directly over into here. And then we can bring out the other two for the other items that we will be putting in there. Now, if I remember right, this is the only item, and it is the only item that comes out of this one. So we merely need one export hatch. And this is where we're probably going to start using subsystem stuff. Because again, this item itself is only used in one recipe. So it is not worth outputting. We need our power thing somewhere. And if that's there, we might as well put it... Where did that power plug go? I had 4 of them. Maybe I forgot to grab them out. Energy hatch. Do we have any of those? Did I use them somewhere? Okay. I feel like something happened to my energy hatches and I don't know what happened to those. Let's go solve that problem first. So for our energy hatches, it said we needed our... What do we need? Black steel. And then our LPIC chips. We have LPIC. LPIC chips. Those ones require orange. So let's go get our orange thing going on. Start putting some of this stuff away. We'll finish building this setup besides the output before we go ahead and get over there. We need ourselves the output hatch, which I wanted to put it out right there. So we can have the input come in on one colored cable and we can actually dye some of them and have the subsystem thing going on there. Being able to run on the inside. So just need our casing on the outside to finish it up. And then let's go see if we can find what happened to those energy hatches. So I really do feel like I made up some. I don't think I dumped them anywhere. There's one. And we didn't need the combustion generators, I guess. I don't think I put them anywhere weird. Alright, orange it is. Right. Orange. Down here it is not. Orange. We'll do 4 of them. Laser engrave. And then I think I can cut those on a regular saw that I have up top. I think I have an HV saw up top. We'll go ahead and make one of those because that should cover the cost there. And then we just need to get our black steel dust. Grab another 10. Let that do its processing while we go throw this up in a saw. So no, it won't work here, but we do have the other one in the other dimension. We can toss them in. Which I believe it does have to be in a clean room, so on the bright side, we just have to go grab some lubricant. Lubricant. And let's get ourselves a cell. Because we're probably going to have to dump it back into the system later. Oh, no, that'll perfectly cut up all four. That's great. So while we let that go, our black steel dust should be done. I would say the fastest way for us to probably smelt it up is to stick it in this thing. Because I know this one is going to do it rapidly. 7 seconds. Peace. And then we can get those started. We know that this will work. We just need to put the rest of the inputs in. So we need hydrogen and propane. Propene. We need propene. Which I just want to make sure we have plenty. We got propene. Hydrogen we got plenty of too. So let's look at this. Okay, this one's going to be hydrogen. This one will be propene. And then it should have... Oh. Take a second, because I have these carbides actually in here. We'll have to use those another time, I think. Back and forth between different things. One of the other things that's actually quite nice, and we're going to have to do something with it, is we can start making P2P tunnels pretty soon. There is the steel dust, and we should be able to make our energy hatches. Energy hatch. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, while we let those go ahead and finish up, we can place our item there. We can get our generator down, flip it around. And we just need to go to there. So we gotta go back, and then to back. And that's where we gotta connect up our piping. I don't know why I connected it to the machine, but sometimes your misplacement leads to some silly things going on. And then that should be able to connect up quite nicely and start that power source going. Yep. And so now I think there is one last thing. Yes, there is. We got to get our tools out, do up this maintenance hatch. It needs a screwdriver. Screwdriver. There we go. So now we're making our butyral hide. Okay. Now, with the butyral hide going, we know that that's going to come out back over here and mix together later. The other part we need to make our polyvinyl butyral is the polyvinyl acetate, which is a two-step process. Because we've got to mix together vinyl acetate with oxygen, and we also have to make the vinyl acetate. Now, I do want to do this just in a large chemical reactor, just so that we can have it nice and uniform over here, and scale up production as we need to, because we can always upgrade those with better things when we get to having power transferred over in a better way. So we're going to start with our blocks down. Oh, we want our maintenance hatch first. That's what we want. So we're going to separate it by a block. One block right there. And so we can place it there, 2 and 3. And then we'll have our imports come in on the side over here, as this is also the same side that we're going to share with the output of this one. We need our copper nickel blocks underneath. And our input, we need 2 items. We're going to need oxygen, and then we need our polyvinyl acetate we'll make over here. Then the next part is not polyvinyl acetate, just vinyl acetate, that's right. So with the vinyl acetate, that makes water and vinyl acetate. But we need ethylene, acetic acid, and oxygen. Both of those can be grabbed easily. This is currently not hooked up to a storage bus, so I have made myself ender fluid links to be able to satisfy that need. And so we need to put our inputs in over on this side. So we have 1, 2, 3 inputs. We have our 2 inputs there, and then we just need our outputs, which we have 1, 2 outputs on this one. And then I believe our polyvinyl acetate only has 1 output, which again we're going to be using over here. So we can go ahead and build back and put our output hatch right there. Now we do want to make sure we've got our maintenance hatches underneath these, just so we can be able to actively see them where they're at. Now here's the best part about using these cables, is we can actually pipe this up. Do I want to pipe it that way around? I don't think I do. So we're going to go ahead and pull out our wrench, pop that off. We're going to have it pop up right there and right there. So we can now drag this all the way over from here. 1, 2, 3. And then go up there. And up right there. So that allows us to connect everything on this one and everything over here. Although I guess we want the water at this output, so we're not going to do this. We're going to have this one say that this is going to be our water. Lock that in, and I'll only allow the water out there. And then it is this recipe. So we want our vinyl acetate right there. And that will lock in those. And actually, I do think we want to switch something up here. Because I don't really want this pipe coming up right here. I want it coming up right here. Oh my goodness, if I could get rid of the thing, that would work. I want it coming up front here. As one of the things that this will have an effect on is that I can just pipe this straight over. And the vinyl acetate has literally only one other purpose. And that, or actually, sorry, the vinyl acetate has no other purpose. It's the polyvinyl acetate can be mixed to make glue with acetone or the methyl acetate. So that's the only other use for that, but because of how easy glue is to get, I don't really want to use it there. So we can bring that cable up. And now we just need to put all but our power hatches in. And there's that. Now let's go get our power hatches so we can actually hook these up to power. Got 1 and 2 there. We need our diesel generators, or combustion generators. I always think about that because here in the States we have like these diesel generators that is what you would call them, because they run off of diesel. Like, that's what we use. We don't use gasoline, we use diesel in them. And that's because they are definitely very different monsters when it comes to how they ignite. I just find that fascinating that, like, people don't really, like, unless you're into and understanding that stuff, most people here in the States don't even know the difference either, which blows my mind that you got so many people that are so bizarrely ignorant on these topics. So now we've got all of this hooked up. One of these does not get hooked up here. We do need, however, our export buses. We need 1, 2. This one will take 1, and then a pipe across. And then I think we're set there. Now, to finish this one off, to make sure that we get the maintenance done on both of these hatches, we're going to need a acidic acid fluid ender transfer. So let's just make sure that we don't already have one, because I don't remember if I ever made one. I don't think I did, and it does not look like it. Chloric, drilling fluid, steam. Yeah, it looks like I don't have... I have an acetone, that's what I was thinking of. So I don't have one specifically for acetone. So we'll do 21 right there, and we'll say acidic. Oh my goodness. Caps lock is on. How do you pronounce that? Acetic. Ace. Tick. Acid. And so this is where it will export out of. This one needs our ethylene and then oxygen, and we need a number 3. So we want this one to be oxygen. This one will be ethylene. Then we'll go ahead and set this one to a number 3. Those will start importing what they need, and we will go ahead and go back so that we can hook up our acidic acid on this one right here. So we're going to go ahead and pop that down. Do ourselves a little favor, scroll all the way down and do acidic acid and import. And there we go. So that should start producing over there. The next part that we're going to need to do after that is also create ourselves a void cover for that water. So while that is cooking up, we can go ahead and go look at the next recipe process, which is... I'm always turning myself around when I get over here. So, we are now already full out. We've made ourselves the vinyl acetate. So, now all we need to do is add that with some oxygen, and we get polyvinyl acetate. I know I can use the recipe with the titanium thing, but I don't want to be using that recipe, as titanium is a necessary building block for plenty of structures, so... what am I doing here? We need oxygen. We'll do oxygen gas. And now the last thing is, it looks like we need a 1 in any of these inputs. So now the question is, can we put an acceleration card into a storage bus? Now with that done, we should be able to start getting the different things we need. There we go. We're getting some polyvinyl acetate out the back. Now, the last step that we need is we need to combine the two to get liquid polyvinyl butyral. And once again, we're going to do this in a large one just because it's easier to upgrade when we need to increase the power of it. So, kind of keeping in line with where we're at, we're going to actually go ahead and start to build this one backwards, and it's going to come out this way. And so I don't think either of these are acidic. Yeah, so we're good to go ahead and do what I would like to do. We're just going to go ahead and pump them straight out. And we're going to build our inputs onto them directly. And I think that's kind of funny that it's not facing the right way, but it still is able to input into the system directly. But we can place down our coil. We can place down our energy hatch. Place in the right way. And our maintenance. Our base there. And then I want all one of these front ones filled up, because that's where I want to pipe it out to a tank. One, two. It looks like we got a few extra to spare, which is awesome. So let's click there and get our output. And then we should see it immediately start to make our liquid polyvinyl butyral. That was definitely a process to get through to get our next step into actually being able to start making these machines, which is quite nice. Now, I do know I keep like slapping in these generators in here, but you might as well, considering we have the excess material, quite a bit of it because of the way that we've been doing this. But what I wanted to do is we can make this directly into the plates. So again, I want to hook this up. So I have a tank of it. We're going to immediately put it over here. And then I just wanted to see if we make it into that, we can extrude it out into the plates. Is there any other use for this? Or is it literally just plate form that we use it in? It looks like it's literally just plate form. Is there a block form usage besides cutting it into plates? No. So we might as well just solidify this directly into plates before we store it. So now we just need two more things. We need ourselves a fluid solidifier. Oh, I can't make that. Didn't I make one? I don't remember if I made one or not. I thought I did for something. I don't see one in my inventory here. Yeah, I have no idea. So for a fluid solidifier, we need to go ahead and whip up a batch for that. That'll be nice and quick, as all of those are fast recipes. And then we just need ourselves a plate mold, which I can't remember where I have one. We got an ingot mold there. We have a plate mold somewhere here. Not there. I feel like there it is. I knew I had a plate mold somewhere. The only thing I find a little bit interesting is I'm pretty sure that I had one of my, we need not a gas, we need another combustion engine built up, just one of these little LV ones. Let's build that. Build a combustion engine. And then the last thing that we're going to need is a crate. Because, of course, we need a place to store this. I think I need one more storage bus to make it so that that box can be seen by the network. And then we will have fully automated our polyvinyl butyral plates. And the reason we need that for is the main thing we need to start getting for a lot of these other things is we need to get laminated glass, which requires tempered glass and then the polyvinyl butyral plates. It looks like that's literally the only thing it is used for. But it is used in quite a few of the different recipes as you cycle through here, and you'll see quite a few recipes need it, as well as we need it for the assembly line as the substation layer. So we're going to want this stuff as well as these normal laser pipes. These are good for transmitting power with no loss in straight lines, as well as we'll eventually need it for fusion glass. So automating this now future-proofs our setups to be able to make more things in the future. We got storage buffs. Yep. Yeah, we have everything. So we can dump a lot of this other stuff back in that we don't need. We don't need the tank. I think we're already stockpiled up back with the bricks. No, we're not. We can put those away. And then this is the only thing I wanted to check because it seems like we're having a hard time keeping up on our oxygen output. So is there a place that we can put the acceleration? No. Okay, good to know. So it's not this one. It is strictly the other pipes. Just take time to output directly into where they need to go. Looks like everything is finished up. I guess the only thing we don't have is the crate. Oh my goodness, if I could spell properly, it would be good. It'd be done already if I could spell properly. And one more thing. So we're going to go ahead and power it from right here. Means we need to drag it on over right there. And I'll have to get some stuff set up to be able to drag the or to plate these over so I can actually have a nicer looking base. It's something I do like to keep up on. So there's that, our combustion engine, our wooden crate. We do actually need to mine that up, replace that next to the fluid solidifier here. So the fluid solidifier with our plate mold, and then we will be outputting directly in this direction with our wooden crate there. Now, I do need to put down the storage bus, and this is something I've noticed that I need to do with every storage bus. We need to increase it by a few points so that it prefers this storage just for the polyvinyl butyral, so that we don't get any in our systems. But now we can just drag the pipe down and run it along back to the very start. And it is now hooked up, and we should be able to see that in our system. Polyvinyl butyral. All set up and automated. And I know it was a little overkill to do this specifically for the carbon dioxide, but I think it's a nice addition because we also are now getting our argon. We're getting plenty of helium instead of having to rely on ender dust for that. And oxygen and nitrogen should be taken care of for the foreseeable future. It does end up producing quite a bit of that. I wish this actually had like some better uses, but I don't think it really does. I think it's hilarious that we get liquid ice that can then be melted. Oh, we don't need frozen pearls for anything, unfortunately. It does clear. Okay, so that's from Torchmaster. That's what it was. Okay. We could eventually get back to water, but again, what's the purpose of that? We'll just go ahead and have that output voided like I have over here. And that's something I thought, oh, that's cool. I didn't realize they had estimations of that. That's cool. Failed to set up recipe because too much liquid air. Oh, it's emptying. That's what it's doing. Got it. Just to make sure it's running a little bit more frequently, we can go ahead and take that out. Add more into that. That should be able to run properly. But now that we have our polyvinyl butyral, we can actually get ourselves into more of the IV era, as that was kind of one of the things holding me back, is we got to start making laminated glass. Could always start with the assembler, but what's the point of making the assembler if you can't really do anything with it? So by next time, I should hopefully have another generator up, and we can actually use the power from that to generate ourselves a lot more. Not generate ourselves. What am I talking about? Be able to use and power our IV machines, and we can start into that. I'm super excited to get into that because that's where we get to start doing more of the multi-block, the large multi-block structures of every of the little machines. So no more will be the single block sawmill. You'll have a multi-block mass sawmill or lathe, because I think that one's combined. I know the ore washer and the I think it's the chemical bath and the washer are both the same thing. So you have to choose which one it's going to be, unless you can do blocking mode, which if I can do that, I'll have to figure out how that works exactly. But supposedly you can make spray paint and paint your hatches certain colors, and then if certain hatches are filled, it'll perform certain recipes. I'll have to figure out how that works, if I even can. But that is something to do in the future, as I think the next thing we really should do is figure out automating our setups for both the alloy furnace behind me, or the liquid alloy, molten alloy furnace. Let's go look at the name of it. The alloy blast smelter. We need to get both that figured out and automated, as well as probably set this machine up with multiple others of it in a fashion to be able to have our auto crafting of blast furnace recipes also be a lot better. But that's going to take some time. It's going to take me figuring that out, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Have a good one, guys. Bye.